Tucker, Chicago Cub, Chicago Luke's back, playoffs times, fantasy football. Man, as the Brewers depart, Cubs get stronger. It's a beautiful day. Just an hour and a half north of the great windy city of Chicago, coming to you live.
Sad. Brewers may not be good.
Hey, you got Nestor Cortez.
We basically traded a pitcher on an expiring salary to get a pitcher on an expiring salary, and then a prospect, and then some money. I don't know.
We traded Christopher Morel and a first-round draft pick and a starting pitcher we weren't going to use for one of the best hitters in the AL. Only 1 year of control. The contract is going to have to get worked out. That's what the haters will say. But what I will say is the Cubs finally have a good hitter.
We will see. I have to trust in the Brewers' moves, but Adames is gone. Devin Williams is gone. And now his lasting memory is giving up a home run to Polar Bear Pete to end our season. So cool. Vikings are 11-2, and I'm in the playoffs. So there is a silver lining.
It's a beautiful day. All right. I mean, you're the man of the hour. These are the playoffs. We don't have to talk about all the teams anymore, so it's kind of easy work going through this.
Yes.
Talk to me about the decision to pick Ross.
The decision. So I played this one close to the vest.
You did?
Because I was considering it, but I wasn't ready to speak it aloud.
Who did I say last week that you were going to pick?
It was either you were going to say I was going to pick you or Nathan.
Right.
And you were in the running, but I kept looking at Ross these past few weeks, and it's funny. I almost consider him to be the Chiefs, where it's like, how is he doing this? He's not actually that good, but yet he keeps winning. And much like the Chiefs now have clinched a playoff spot, this went into my formula. Chiefs have clinched a playoff spot. They have to play, I think, 3 games in the next 11 days. So there may be some coasting, and that might have played into maybe Mahomes not doing so well. That San Francisco running back was hurt and didn't have a super big game last night. Bengals are kind of falling, so I don't know about Chase Brown. So it felt like Ross was a little vulnerable. And I really wanted to see, like, is he really going to Ross this playoffs? Is he really going to overcome? And we'll see. But to me, I was looking at just his lineup, everybody else's lineups, and he had a low projection for points. So I just thought, all right, let's go.
I mean, the projections have you winning currently. He picked up 9.5 points. You picked up 8.1 from Kittle.
Yeah, that was a big game.
That terrible game. Fortunately for our league, Cooper Kupp was not in the playoffs, so him getting 0 points didn't just destroy somebody's week.
And well, we could talk about Nathan too. If I would have gone with him, I'd be feeling pretty good right now because Brock Purdy had, I think, 3 points. Puka had a great game, but Kyron Williams didn't have a great one either. So I think Wes, your nemesis, is looking to advance there.
Might be the new Ross of the playoffs.
Yeah, so Ross seems ready for my challenge that I've thrown down. You get Libby chooses Lucas, who is also someone I think who might not have a great week, a down week. So I think good choice.
And then Stefan had Juwan Jennings playing, who only got 4.1 points.
That helps you.
So that shifted the projections. I was really worried with Stefan getting the Stefan draw. he's a high scoring player. He's just basically had bad matchup luck during the year, but he's one of the 3 highest scoring teams in our league. So, definitely not a benefit for me to get the lowest seed there. But we'll see. It's all about Lamar. If Lamar doesn't go nuts, I got a chance.
Lions are playing the Bills, which could be a really high scoring game. So it could be a few Jahmyr Gibbs touchdowns, or maybe it's David Montgomery. Who knows? It's the roll of the dice with those two.
Yeah, I want to say that I did not get. Yeah, I got some matchup luck here with Jefferson's playing a tougher defense with Chicago. Same thing with Swift playing against Minnesota on the other side, but everyone else, their defenses they're facing aren't crazy good. We'll see how Daniels does against New Orleans. And then I threw in my new white boy, Adam Thielen. He's back on my team. I think I had him earlier in the year.
Got him for nothing.
I have no idea how that happened. I thought someone for sure would have put a waiver claim in ahead of me. But grabbed him. Also grabbed Baltimore's defense playing against the Giants. Good waiver wire week for me.
And I was just checking. Thielen is in your starting lineup. So
yeah, I mean it was either him or Keenan Allen.
I was gonna say Keenan Allen historically lights up the Vikings anytime he plays them. So I could see playing him, but.
How does Minnesota have the 32nd ranked defense against wide receivers? That seems wrong.
Because the weakest part of our defense is our secondary, and we actually give up a lot of yardage and points. Somehow, I think our red zone defense holds up, but we basically play shell coverage and let people throw all over us up until that point.
So Minnesota's defense is weird for fantasy rankings because against Caleb Williams, they're the 9th ranked. So they're a top 10 in limiting points for fantasy QBs. They're top 5 in limiting for running backs, and then they're the worst against wide receivers.
Yeah, quite the enigma, because on one hand they're good, but on the other hand they're not good. Don't know what else to tell you. It's weird.
I kind of like Thielen's playing the Cowboys. Bryce Young has been playing better. And Thielen just scores touchdowns.
Revenge game against Mike Zimmer's defense, maybe. Maybe there's something there.
I am so bummed out that I just didn't hold Addison. I should have just done that. I don't know. I'd have to go back to see why I ended up dropping him. But it's such a mistake. I should have just held him and done him and Jefferson. I mean, it's so stupid in hindsight now.
It's funny. I was looking after that big game that him and Jefferson both had. I was looking at his history to kind of see, like, because I think Stefan drafted him.
Yep.
And he dropped him right before he had a big game for like 20 points.
And I started him that game.
Picked him up for $40, and then he kind of had a down swing
for like 4 straight games.
It was like Darnold's dip in the season where everyone was like, "Oh boy, he's throwing interceptions. He's Sam Darnolding again." You dropped him. I kind of picked him up, snuck him through. I think for nothing.
And then we're forced to play him.
And now he's back.
It's bad. I could have had Hockenson, Jefferson, and Addison, and just like had the Viking offense kind of covered, except for Aaron Jones.
Forced you to root for us. Aaron Jones is probably the one you don't want to have, honestly.
He's been solid, though. I mean, take a look at my running backs. I would probably start him over Swift every week.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about the one weakness I have is I'm really worried about only having one good running back as far as longevity in the playoffs. I'm starting Joe Mixon and Gus Edwards, and I have nobody else in the wings.
Yeah, the J.K. Dobbins injury is tough.
It's coming back to get me.
I think if they had J.K. Dobbins, they probably beat the Chiefs too. Actually, who knows? J.K. Dobbins probably would have broken his leg in half during that game.
Well, yeah, that Chiefs.
They probably would have kicked the field goal. It would have broken J.K. Dobbins' leg and then gone in.
Right. Yeah, because of course the Chiefs win in another last second thing again because
a double boink
Yeah, their backup kicker too, not the kicker who hates women. The other one.
Butker.
Yeah.
He doesn't hate women. He's just really Catholic.
Potato, potato. Yeah. We'll see. I'm also worried about the Bengals in general because I've got the Burrow Chase thing, but the Bengals are pretty much out of the playoffs, and I don't really know what they have to play for beyond their pride. And Burrow just got his house broken into, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird. Weird story. I feel like that's the second time that somebody has said they got their house broken into on a game day.
Yes, that would be Mahomes and Kelsey
right. Yeah.
same day. So someone's
Maybe
out there robbing houses.
Except for the Kansas City super fan that was robbing banks
Oh, that's right.
in his wolf costume is currently going through the process of going to jail. So it's got to be maybe it's some other super fan.
Who knows? Or it's
Watch
Taylor
out for those
Swift.
guys. Could be Taylor Swift. I don't think Taylor Swift is real. I think she's an alien life form. I've been reading a lot about that lately with these sunglasses on.
I'm trying to see if I can see the book in the reflection, but I can't.
No, that's in a vault that gets locked away so that only for British eyes only.
Mr. F. Oh yeah, there it is. I got an email notification with your trade, your Kyle Tucker trade.
Oh yeah.
It's baseball hot stove season.
It's great. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah, Libby looks like he's going to, at least just from a projection standpoint, take care of Lucas pretty easily. It's 120 to 107. I mean, Josh Allen can't have 3 incredible games in a row.
But at the same time, playing the Lions, I think at Detroit, so it won't be like a snow game or anything in a dome. To me, that looks like it's going to be a high scoring game.
So Jamar Chase, definitely one of the fantasy MVP candidates for the year.
Oh yeah.
The Ravens quarterback, Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, yeah. That's
Derrick Henry kind of fading, but still up there. And then Libby has Josh Allen, who definitely can make his case over the last couple of weeks that he's the fantasy football MVP, and Saquon Barkley.
And Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers. And I would just like to, again, point out for the 3rd week in a row that Libby did not have Saquon Barkley 4 weeks ago. And he was gifted him for the playoff run.
Gifted. Yes.
Gifted.
We could maybe call collusion on that, but Libby would get offended and then write a letter about it. So
I will, because we're talking so much about baseball, if Libby wins the championship this year, will be under protest.
Someone hitting some garbage cans somewhere.
Yes.
Watching the pitch signs.
I'll allow him to lift the trophy, to act like he won, to do all that stuff. But I think after a 2-year investigation, we'll consider stripping the title. It'll be like the Louisville basketball team that won the 2006
Patino one.
Yeah, that won like the 2012 or 13 national championship, but actually didn't.
Well, I don't know the last time Libby has won a championship, so maybe he'll win at whatever costs.
I said it last week. I'll say it again, Libby. You got to decide. Either you win the fantasy football championship or the Lions win the Super Bowl. You can't have both.
It's a charmed season for both, no matter what you say, because who was going to have David Montgomery as the 10th ranked running back at the end of the season, or Jackson Smith and Jigba number 6, or Brock Bowers number 2, or his kicker for the Lions, some rando, the 5th overall kicker. I mean, he's just
Bates or whatever.
Yeah, like he's just, and Josh Allening, I guess, isn't surprising, but
yeah, St. Brown being a top wide receiver.
Every move that Libby has made has worked out. There's been no mistakes.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy was a good waiver wire pickup. He just sits on his bench now. Jameson Williams, solid wide receiver, would start for most other teams sitting on his bench. Zay Flowers, decent wide receiver, doesn't play. And then how did he get? Did he always have Tua?
No. Sam Rodabaugh drafted him and then dropped him, and then Drew had him and then dropped him, and then Libby got him at the end of November for nothing.
I mean, it's not like
So
it
it's
was
just-
that great, but
It's just a stash.
just a stash. Yeah. Whatever. Libby's probably going to win. I didn't actually write out a power rankings for the play. I couldn't remember if we actually do it for the
I don't
playoffs.
I don't know. I didn't think that we did.
I would say that Libby is the favorite, though he's the 2 seed. He is going to probably have an easy matchup, whether it's Stefan or me next week. And you are going to have to play Wes. So tough. And you got to get through us. You can't.
I do. Yeah.
Don't call it a win yet. I don't
No.
want to call it a win.
Oh no. I chose
a lot of minutes left to play, a lot of quarters.
I chose to take my challenge on right away. I feel like I did this the last time I was in the playoffs too. Sometimes for me, it's just easier to get the goat out of the way. So we'll see if I can do it. I'm worried about a couple of these matchups, but DK Metcalf against the Packers, I don't know. That doesn't worry me that much either.
Wow. Jair Alexander refuses to play football.
That seems to be a trend for Packers, by the way.
Yeah. Devondre Campbell.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah. There's a lot. It's like Steelers players and Packers players when they're no longer on the Steelers and Packers. They're like, these guys are a problem.
Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say something, but now I don't remember what I was gonna say.
That happens. Do we care about the losers bracket? I don't care about the losers bracket. I think that's already decided anyway.
Yeah. Don't we give the naming rights to the team that has the worst record? It doesn't matter.
No matter what. Yep.
Because I think I lost the losers bracket last year.
Yep.
Technically.
No, well, you lost it, but Lucas locked that in regardless.
Yeah, he had the worst record. I lost the bracket.
Yep.
Yeah. So I would say, yeah, you're probably going to move on. If I were to guess, I would say Wes probably, just because the Rams didn't show out as much as Nathan would hope, and his team is kind of relying on that. I would say as long as the Commanders have a decent game, I probably hold off Stefan. Libby rolls and then just slaughters me.
We are at that point of the NFL season during fantasy playoffs where you kind of get some weird games because some teams are competing and other teams are not. They're phoning it in. So, I mean, the Commanders going for a playoff spot will help you. Bears are out of it, so I don't know why you would start Caleb Williams ever. So it's pretty much Jaden Daniels or bust.
Yeah, but I have to worry about Swift barely playing and getting touches and them being behind 14 points every single game. Running the ball.
He caught a pass. He got a long pass against the Vikings. So, again, there might be something there. Who knows?
Who knows? Just hopefully you get to keep picking up solid defenses for 1 more, 2 more, 3 more weeks. Could be. Feel it. The winds of change are coming, and the Cubs are going to be good again. That's all that matters. Need a pitcher. Just halfway decent pitcher for Bellinger. Because Cody Bellinger is going to be a Yankee, unfortunately. I have to go through this process again, whereas, start 11 players, they become Yankees.
Can you bring Chris Bryant back? Is he still around?
My advice for Chris Bryant would be to just
Retire. Is
You
Rizzo
did it.
still on the Yankees?
Rizzo's still on the Yankees. Yeah. I think Jock Peterson was a Yankee for a while. He's
Joe
still kind of hits home runs for teams.
What if the Cubs got Arenado?
Nope.
No?
Washed. Washed.
I didn't think you had a third baseman.
Yeah, we traded our third baseman for Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, that was Morel.
Well, we traded Morel to the Rays for Paredes, and we traded Paredes to Houston because their third baseman, Bregman, is leaving.
Probably for the Dodgers or the Yankees. That's where everybody's going.
Yeah. Or the Mets. Could be Mets.
Oh, yeah.
Soto went to the Mets. He didn't go to the Dodgers.
No. Soto went to the Mets for as much money as the Rays cost. You could have bought the entire Rays franchise for that contract.
Somebody put up that their owner, the Mets owner, made $215 million in the stock market over the last 2 weeks.
Oh,
So they're like, if he just keeps that up, he'll have paid off Soto's contract in 6 weeks, or 6 more weeks.
it's not going to be a Bobby Bonilla situation where they're paying for Soto 100 years later.
No, that's the Dodgers.
Yeah, that's what the Dodgers are deferring.
Which is the biggest crap contract. Like, I've never really had a problem with baseball not having a salary cap or anything like that, but the fact that you can do these deferred payments is BS, and it's just stupid.
It is. No, it's why I like talking about football more than baseball, because of the parity and because of the cap, which has its own issues. But baseball's just rich people and just spend as much as you want.
But admit it, you would love to see the Brewers win the World Series.
Oh, of course. Of course. We were close. I mean, that's the frustrating thing, is the Brewers have lost the playoffs the same way every single time. And then people get the Brewers being good is almost bad, because then you can't afford to keep your good team together. So they have to rely on underachievers overachieving. And then when they get really good, they have to leave them, or they'll just sign them to 10-year contracts where they get really bad after a couple of years.
Yeah, get prepared for that Contreras contract.
Yeah, I mean, he's one where we're probably are going to sign him, but
yeah, and let's just say catchers after age 33,
they're like running backs in the NFL. They fall off a cliff.
He'll be your DH for the last 6 years of his contract.
Yeah,
because or your first baseman, and you're just like, what are we doing?
Well, I'm not in the baseball zone yet. I actually care about my football team right now, and there's much more discourse that I am considering, because everybody who is anybody in the Vikings community is talking about this big decision at the end of the season that I am not ready to talk about.
I called it.
You did?
Called it at the start of the season.
Discuss it on this very show.
I said, you're going to have to make a consideration for the fact that Darnold might be your future at quarterback. At least for the next couple of years. If you can somehow finagle a way to be like, hey man, take a 3-year, like $60-70 million contract, and we can just kind of ride out the rookie contract for a couple of years. 2 more years, 2 or 3.
The price is too high. I mean, if he gets us into the playoffs, I still want JJ. If he wins 1 playoff game, I still want JJ. If he wins 2 playoff games, I still want JJ. If he wins us the Super Bowl, I don't care. We could sign Tim Tebow for all I care. And if Darnold wins the Vikings a Super Bowl, I will be too ecstatic to even care.
The thing you have to remember, though, is that Kevin O'Connell is one of the best coaches in the NFL, especially with younger quarterbacks and just the system that he runs.
We notice.
So Sam Darnold, unless he goes to a team that has a, almost as good of coach, is probably going to be bad again, or at least not as good as he is this year. So you can live with that. But let's say that the Niners after this year are like, do we really want to pay Purdy? Could we get Sam Darnold for, a little bit cheaper just because he's been in the NFL, hasn't really gotten that humongous contract, and then Darnold's just tearing it up on the Niners next year? That might hurt. That might really hurt.
But we also have a former day trader at Wall Street as our GM, and he's all like, got a known commodity and an unknown commodity who's cheaper, and JJ. I think that's probably what he wants to do.
Yeah, I mean, from a money standpoint, you're going to have to throw the car keys to JJ and, decide whether you're going to pay Addison, bolster up the defense a little bit more. You can't just throw money into Darnold and then he's not good and then you're just screwed.
No, because it looks so good for us next year because we're still paying $25 million of dead money to Kirk. Thank you very much. This year, which goes off the books next year, so we can spend next year, but I don't think we should spend it on Darnold.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure none of you care. Who cares if you're watching?
Packers will also not win the Super Bowl for a number of years, so we're just happy to. You know what, Packers fans, just turn yourselves back into the happy to be there crowd. Be like, you know what? We made the playoffs again. Good for us.
I think you will always be entitled town. I don't think that can change.
This is what I've had to do with the Cubs since 2016, that beautiful, beautiful year when they won the World Series. I've just had to be content. And now,
that's a good thing to be.
Now Kyle Tucker and
changed everything.
And we start to make some moves. We start to loosen the purse strings a little bit. We start to spend some money in the right areas. Anything can happen in October, baby, with baseball. With the NFL, just be happy you're in the playoffs and that you're just going to get smashed by one of the teams that's actually good. And then eventually lose to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, the script is already written for the NFL playoffs. It's going to be the Chiefs again or something. It's already there.
Josh Allen, he's the Lisan El Gaib.
Lisan El Gaib. I would love a Bills Super Bowl. I have always rooted for the Bills whenever they make the playoffs because they're the AFC Vikings. So nothing would make me happier other than a Vikings Super Bowl.
Bills Vikings.
That would be incredible. The world would end before the game was over.
What would be more exciting, Bills Vikings or Bills Lions?
Well, Bills Vikings, obviously.
Well, for you, yeah.
Bills Lions would be fun to watch though, because we're getting a preview of that this weekend, but that would be a fun Super Bowl to watch. Yeah. And neither of them have won either. So,
have the Lions even been to the playoffs?
They have not been to a Super Bowl.
I just wanted to say they hadn't made the playoffs.
Oh yeah, it's been.
They lost in the NFC Championship game last year. I know.
Barry Sanders.
But no, they have not been to the Super Bowl. That would be cool. But the Bills Vikings is kind of a better story because they're both teams that have been there a number of times and lost, and have been I suppose the Vikings are one of the best franchises in NFL history by winning percentage. The Bills are not. They just were really good for a while when the Niners and Cowboys were also really good.
It's what makes being a Vikings fan frustrating is always good, but never good enough.
Yep. Shout out Fran Tarkenton. Shout out the Purple People Leaders.
Sam Darnold's game this past Sunday was the best quarterback game since who?
Vikings quarterback game? Yeah. I would have to imagine that Dante Culpepper had a monster game.
Yeah, it was Dante Culpepper in 2004 was the last time a Vikings quarterback had a stat line like that.
I think they're in that Vikings doc. They're like, he probably should have won MVP that year.
Oh, he was so good.
Yeah.
Love you, Dante.
And then he got really fat, and then he joined the Dolphins.
Well, he also got knee surgery.
Oh, he was also a Lion, too.
He got knee surgery from a quack in Miami and didn't do a good job and basically ended his career. So
I think he also got really fat.
Both. A little bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of a hope I have for Jordan Love. Just get really fat and then have to leave the NFL so that I can stop watching you play sometimes.
Wow. Okay. Look at college quarterbacks.
I just don't. I don't believe. I have no love.
Where is the love?
He is, I don't know, just throwing interceptions in his mind. Though he's not throwing them on the field anymore, but in his mind, he still wants to throw. Oh, I was going to say while we were shouting out Vikings players, shout out Randy Moss, liver cancer. That's terrible. And the fact that Larry Fitzgerald just blew the news without letting Randy actually talk about it. And then Randy Moss's son told Brett Favre that was a lie. And then didn't Randy confirm later that day? He's like, yeah, we're just mad that somebody leaked it.
Yep. I figured it was cancer of some kind, but hopefully Randy can pull through.
Is Randy the GOAT?
Yes.
Better than Jerry Rice?
Yes.
I love it. That's my pick too. I think Randy Moss is better than Jerry Rice. I also never got to watch Jerry Rice. I did get to watch Randy Moss. Randy Moss is the scariest NFL player I've ever watched.
Randy Moss is why I'm a Vikings fan to begin with.
Not Chris Carter, CC.
No, I mean Chris Carter was around earlier, but it was Randy Moss. But I don't understand why the Vikings haven't retired his number yet. That will always baffle me, probably because of some of the drama towards the end. But he is the best.
Who's that? Robert
Smith.
Robert Smith. He was a great running back.
Yep.
That's great. Long forgotten, great NFC North running back.
I love the '90s running
him
back.
Him and Work Done.
Work Done or
Ahman Green. Turning into one of those guys where they'll always be like, what's the last, because Josh Jacobs is having a good year. They're like, who's the last Packers running back to do that? It's always Ahman Green.
Well, yeah, because who's my favorite no-name Packers running back? Who is that started with there was one guy who was really good one year and then disappeared. His name started with an S.
Sam Congato.
There you go. Sam Congato. Yeah, that's my favorite one.
James Starks.
James Starks had a good career.
Super Bowl champion running back.
And then Eddie Lacy talking about getting fat.
Fat Eddie. Brandon Jackson.
Yeah.
List could go on and on. Yeah, there you go. Fantasy playoffs. Not a lot to talk about because it seems like it's going to be pretty chalk all the way through. Congratulations to Tim and Libby on playing in the championship game. It should be fun to watch when we eventually get there. For everyone else, thanks for showing up. Just like the Packers, you should just be happy to be here.
That's very wise advice. I love it.
There you go.
Football.
Go Cubs, go. Go Cubs, go.